Well, hello there. Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised on the Radio. I am one half of the show. I am Cobra Cato. My good friend Patrick Blair in Zoom land. As usual, bad mood today. Technological issues. Your boy Stipe lost in a pretty terrible fashion last night. And let's get into it.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Well,
I haven't been
I had
replaying
to
that knockout in my head ever since then.
Man, when that left leg buckled underneath him, it was just over. It was over.
Yeah, typically when you break your leg after you get punched, or you tear your ACL and MCL. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say this before. I don't want to spend too much time because it does put me in a bad mood because, as you know, I am a Stipe fan and I'm very bummed. But I want to say good things about a few people that deserve good things to be said. However, I'm going to start with some bad things. Hey, Sports Center, ESPN, I really, really want you to eat all the dicks. Okay. They have fully turned into TMZ. They have fully turned into an entertainment, gossip, clickbait, bullshit organization. Okay. Not even 5 minutes after that fight was over, they posted, and they can call it what they want. I call it a meme. To me, a company like ESPN should never be posting memes on any of their social media pages.
Absolutely not.
Ever. So I call it a meme. They can call it what they want, but it was two pictures side by side of Stipe falling over on his leg. And they said something along the line. Well, you know what? I retweeted it. Let me double check. But they said something along the lines of, here it is. Hang on. It's right here. Stipe's leg, and then like a face with like big eyes. Hashtag UFC 260. All right, here's the thing. The fight hadn't been over for 5 minutes. Okay. Stipe's leg was fine. He got up. He was walking around. You are merely trolling and memeing. I don't give a fuck. People can say what they want. That's what it is to me. So ESPN, you're TMZ to me now. You're VH1 to me now. You're MTV to me now. I'm over. I'm done with it. I can't. It's the fact that they so willingly and so shamelessly criticize, and that, no, criticize is the wrong word. Shit on athletes is bizarre to me. It didn't used to be that way. And maybe this is a sign again of me just getting older and I'm just a bitter fuck, whatever. But it didn't used to be that way. They reported sports news. They talked about good stories. They talked about bad, but now it's just TMZ. It's just who can say the most outrageous thing, who can post the most outrageous thing. And if you need proof of that, I mean, Stephen A. Smith has his own show now. It was bad enough that he was on Sports Center, all the other shows, and then had First Take. Now he's got his own show. But if you need proof of that, just follow him on Twitter during a UFC event. Now, he wouldn't call what he was doing trolling, but he said something about Tyron Woodley, and I was like, hey, man, stop talking about fighting. You don't know what you're talking about, right?
You would think after that whole wasn't it the cowboy thing?
Yeah.
That he got so much there was so much controversy around it because he was talking out of his ass and he had no idea. Why are they still letting him do this?
Because he's getting attention and
stupid.
Brings in ads, it brings in clicks, it brings in all the stuff that I'm talking about, which is fine. That's the way the world works. I'm not complaining about their business model. I'm complaining about the way they go about their business now, beyond the model, and that is bringing the news to us, the viewer. But Stephen A. Smith goes, yeah, Woodley got caught in that choke. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. If you had been watching, he didn't get caught in a choke. He got choked. He got hurt badly, and then he got choked.
How often does somebody get caught in a choke?
Yeah, you don't just get caught in a choke.
Unless like it's a flying triangle or something like that, you're not going to see somebody get caught in a choke. Like there's a whole way into getting into that.
But that's just the thing. He just doesn't know what he's watching.
Right. Yeah.
The other guy sets up the choke.
Right.
Yeah, you could say you got choked, which is probably the proper way to say it. Not you got caught in a choke, meaning like whatever. Maybe he was.
By the way, what was the name of that choke?
First, I think it was the Darce. There was a Von Flue earlier in the card. Alonzo Menefield did a Von Flue, and I'm pretty sure. God, I can't remember. I think it was the Darce. Anyway, So like, yeah, Darce. So I'm just, and again, I'm super sensitive because I'm a Stipe fan. So I'm sticking up for him. But 5 minutes after the fight, you're going to post side by side pictures of Stipe's leg.
Right.
Yeah. Report that the next day on sport. And I don't even know why you need to talk about it. It'd be one thing if his leg were injured and he had to be carried off. It's another thing that you're trolling the guy because he got fucking KO'd, right?
Mm-hmm.
He got up on his own and actually refused to be helped up, right? He wanted to get up sooner than he wanted, like should have.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. You sent me a video. It was the post conference with Dana White, and the title of the video was basically a comment that Dana White said that if I was John Jones right now, I would be looking to go down to 185.
Yeah.
And not fight Francis Ngannou, which is an interesting thought in its own right. But I was wondering why you sent me that, because was it because of that title, or was it because of his talk about Stipe?
It was because of him talking about De La Hoya coming back.
Okay, that was really, yeah. That was a really shitty comment. Or like, I'm in Dana White's corner on that one.
Me too.
Because they literally asked him, should they give, because I guess they want De La Hoya to fight a UFC fighter, or box a UFC fighter, which I guess this is just everywhere now.
Yeah,
everybody wants to box an MMA fighter, which is ridiculous in the first place. But they made the comment, should it be Francis Ngannou? What?
That person should never be allowed at a press conference.
What?
They never. I normally never stick up for Dana White, but I loved his response. He was absolutely right. Like, why are we talking? Stop bringing this shit to a press conference after a heavyweight title fight in the UFC. I'm not talking about boxing. I'm not talking about De La Hoya or anyone in my company boxing this. He's 50 years old. This is essentially what he said. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but no, that's why I sent it to you. But
well, the other part of that too, and did you watch the whole video?
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of figured you sent it to me because of what, like, somebody asked him to reflect on Stipe as a champion for as long as he's been, and this, that, and the other. And I was trying, it's funny because I was trying to listen to it from your point of view, being like a massive Stipe fan.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see how bad this was going to piss me off if I was in your shoes. And he very nonchalantly said, yeah, he's the best heavyweight of all time. And then just moved on to the next conversation. Like, he didn't really, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, look, that's what I've been saying. Everyone's been saying about Stipe anyway. This has been the treatment of him as a champion the entire time.
Yeah.
Very, very sort of, yeah, I'll go ahead and say he's the greatest, but let's move on. We don't need to go any further than that. And look, it is because he's not a marketable fighter. His story just is not interesting enough to the casual fan. So Dana White's not going to spend more time on it than he needs to. Joe Rogan's not going to spend more time on it than he needs to. No one is. And I thought that, look, I remember how I said I was going to say nice things, but let me say one more negative thing here. Daniel Cormier, you were way too excited to say Stipe got knocked out. You were way too excited. You need to show a little less bias there, cuz. Okay? I know you're listening, DC. Put down the donuts and be an unbiased commentator, please. He was way too excited. Way too excited to just blurt that out.
Speaking of that, I didn't watch the main card, but I watched the early prelims and the prelims. And, you messaged me immediately and was like, oh, great, it's Rogan and DC. But
the reason I said that is because I knew it was going to be a jerk-off fest for Francis and Kane.
Right.
Oddly enough, Kane wasn't mentioned once. Can't believe it.
Right.
Can't believe it. It's the first time in history. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm still going with the theory that Rogan's not into this anymore.
I agree. 100%.
Dude, I was listening to him and his comments were few and far between. Even the the back and forth with him and DC wasn't there last night. I didn't think, or at least not. I like I said, I didn't watch the main card, but earlier than that. But still, just he's not like what he used to be as far as Joe Rogan as a commentator was.
Yeah, I think he's an autopilot right now, to be honest with you. He said, so it was God damn. I can't remember. Bukowskis and the Ola Shek fight. I can't say the guy's last. He's Polish. Okay, he's Polish.
You're the person I go to know how to understand or
Ola
pronounce people's names.
I believe it's Ola Kasich. I think that's wrong, but he's Polish and he was fighting a Lithuanian guy, Bukowskis. Mm-hmm. They're light heavyweights, both badasses, right? So it's like the second round, and this is the comment Joe Rogan made. I made it a point to remember this. Like I put it in my phone even, and I've just been thinking about it ever since. But he goes, man, it really is great to hear Ola Chachik's corner speaking to him in Polish. And then there was this long silence, like no one knew how to respond to that. And I wanted to be there and go, hey, fuckface, he's Polish, and so are they. They speak Polish to each other. Why did you say that? Like he was like reaching for something to say, and that was like he farted out of his mouth. What was that?
I don't know.
Man, it's really great to hear his corner yelling at him in Polish. Why? Because he's Polish? He's phoning it in, dude. He's doing karaoke at this point. Like
you would never hear him say the same thing like about Khabib in his corner speaking to him in Russian.
No, he'd have his head too far up his ass to even get that out. But all right, so let me say some good things. That's enough bitching.
Okay.
I might come back to bitching, but let me say some good things. Okay.
More than likely, but whatever.
Well, before I say good things, let me just say this. It was a rough night. And if I seem salty, I am. Stipe is one of my favorite fighters. Tyron Woodley is one of my favorite fighters. Let's start with Woodley. He's 39, I think. If not, he's 38. I think he just turned 39 recently. He's lost 4 in a row, and each loss has consistently been worse than the last one. Yeah. Okay. I'll give him all the credit in the world, though. He went out last night and he was ready to bang. He was way more aggressive. He hasn't been this aggressive since.
But I don't like that. Well, that was his downfall last night, though, I think.
It was his downfall, but he was fighting a guy that if you're going to beat him, you have to be aggressive. Otherwise, he's going to be the aggressor on you in your fucksville. Vicente Luque is a badass.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So the only time that he's been tested is when someone's moved forward on him and has basically outthrown him on the feet. That's the only time he's been tested. If you let him dictate the pace of the fight and you let him be the aggressor, he's going to eat you up. So Tyron made it a point to go out there and he was super aggressive. And look, he landed a big shot and Vicente was hurt. But Tyron was loading up, and as he was loading up, he got caught and then he got choked. And look, we haven't seen Tyron that hurt in the UFC at all. The only time he's been that hurt was way back when he was in Strikeforce when he lost to Nate Marquardt. I don't even know, the 2012, 11, whatever the hell it was. Maybe even, I can't remember. But so that's the first time he's been that hurt in the UFC. And I mean, he was fucked. I don't know if there was any coming back from that. He was more hurt than Luque was. So, I say this as a fan. I think it's time. It's time to move on. I think it's time to retire. I don't know how you come back from 4 straight and each one is worse than the other. But look, if he does retire, which I don't know if he is, but that's a good way to go out. Not on a loss, not getting choked, but at least he could say like, dude, I went out there and I threw bombs and I tried to win, rather than like I sat back, I threw some counter strikes. It was a boring fight. The fans hated it. It went to a decision, and perhaps I won. And I know that's what people think about him. He gets a lot of criticism. I think it's unfair in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but no matter who you are, it sucks because it's like, you were a title holder, you had a solid career, and now if you do hang up the gloves, you're leaving on 4 losses. But even if you were like just trying to hold on just to where you could go out on a win, with every loss, you're moving down the rankings, and who you're going to grab, is that going to give you enough satisfaction to win that fight? You know what I mean? The fact that you were a title holder really not that long ago.
It seems like ages ago, though.
Yeah, I know.
It really does. It seems like a long time ago. And to be honest with you, he hasn't won a round since the first round of the Darren Till fight.
Yeah.
And that could have been argued that that was a draw, or perhaps maybe even Darren Till might have won the round.
Yeah.
I think Darren Till threw 5 strikes and landed 2. And I think Tyron threw 6 and landed 2 or 3, or like, it was just bizarre. That was probably the last round he won. He didn't win any against Usman. He didn't win any against Gilbert Burns. He didn't win any against Colby Covington. So I'm saying this as a fan. I'm not shitting on him at all. He's badass. He's one of my favorites of all time. I just think it's time. And then Stipe. I'll say this. Stipe, one of my favorites. He and his team did not look very anticipatory of what was going to happen last night. Meaning they didn't look like they expected an improved Francis Ngannou. I think they thought that was all hype. And Stipe, it might have just been one of those nights where he couldn't put it together. And to be honest with you, he didn't. I mean, his corner after the first round said, "You got to mount some sort of offense, dude." Like he's,
Yeah.
He goes, I know. And look, he got hit with the jab. He got knocked down. He got up, was able to evade some of the power punches of Ngannou. And then he landed a big right hand and he thought he had him hurt. He went in carelessly and he got knocked out. It happens all the time. That's the nature of MMA.
You know what I'll tell you though, Francis Ngannou is a monster, and his punches are scary. But the scariest punches that I seen last night, just from the clips that I seen, was when he had Stipe's back. Those fists to the side of the head were maybe the scariest fists I've ever seen in the UFC.
Well, see, that's and you're right. I agree, but that's the issue. That's what I'm taking issue with here is that. Let me say something negative again. So Stipe went for a takedown. It was a half-ass takedown. He didn't commit. He didn't follow through. It was almost like he stopped halfway through because he expected Francis to give up on it, like he did in the first fight. Small octagon or not, doesn't matter. Where he attempted that takedown, he had plenty of space to finish the takedown. So it was almost like he stopped and paused for a second. And then when he realized that Francis had not given up on it, before he knew it, Francis had his back. Now, Stipe's a great wrestler, one of the better wrestlers in the heavyweight division, and even in the UFC. For him to give up his back that easily was bizarre to me. I really feel like he was ill-prepared for anything that happened. And that's not anyone's fault but his and his team's, and again, maybe it just wasn't his night. Sometimes you have a game plan, you know what it is, but you just can't put it together. And I'll say more about that in a second.
I think that, before we move on, I think there's also a strength aspect from Ngannou that.
Oh, for sure.
Now,
giving up 30 pounds.
Whether Stipe's corner was thinking about that, but I'm sure Ngannou is getting stronger with every fight too. It's not just a matter, it's not like he's not. Lifting and things like that too. Like he's getting stronger with each fight as well.
Yeah. Well, he's getting stronger in areas that he was not good at previously.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, he was never put in those positions other than by Stipe,
Right. Yeah.
I think Curtis Blades maybe landed a takedown in their first fight, which again, that seems like decades ago at this point now.
Yeah.
So before I move on Stipe and Francis, I'm going to go back to being negative about the commentary. Let me just say this. Joe Rogan and DC nearly came in their pants when Francis actually avoided that takedown. Okay. They know this, and DC should know this better than anyone. You learn to sprawl when you're 5 years old at your first wrestling camp.
Right.
I don't know what was so amazing about him sprawling. Finally, if it took him 6 years in the UFC to learn how to sprawl, that's an issue with his team previously. He's with Eric Nixick now, who's a great trainer. So obviously he's making him better, but for real, if we're going to be that excited about a sprawl after 6 years in the UFC, we got to calm down. Okay. again, it just shows bias in the commentary. That's all it does, you know? And it makes me become a hater. That's fine. I'll assume that role right now. But look, it was a great sprawl. It worked. He got his back. And it again, I think it confused the fuck out of Stipe. I don't think Stipe was expecting that. And he even tried some offensive wrestling after he had his back. He went for a takedown and then he let go of it. Like Francis went for a takedown. I think it was a single leg, but he pulled out of it wisely because it I think that would have tired him out. And you could tell he was tired from just that little bit of exchange in the grappling. Which is why I was a little bit confused. I mean, there's nothing you can. So let me go back. So with Stipe, with that said, look, he had a bad night, but look, has there been any other champion that's had to go through what he's gone through? Losses, coming back from losses, the no marketing, having to wait a year for a rematch with DC, training for the same fighter for 3 years straight, having Francis be the favorite in their first fight, having Francis like.
Let me ask you this. This is the first thing that popped in my head in the post-conference video that I was watching, and they were asking, who's next for Ngannou and this, that, and the other. How come you have a fight between Conor and Dustin Poirier, and the second the fight's over, we're already talking about a trilogy fight, but we're not talking about that with Stipe and Ngannou? We're already moving on to Ngannou's next opponent.
Because it's Stipe, man. I'm telling you. It's just it's weird. It's weird. I was texting with a few people and they go, he deserves an immediate rematch. I was like, guys, that ain't going to happen. Not losing the way he did with John Jones out there and Derek Lewis potentially. That ain't going to happen, dude. He's not going to get it. I'll be surprised if he gets a rematch at all. I think he'll have to fight a next fight and win it convincingly to even be considered. I'll be honest, which sucks.
Right.
But so look, I just think he was ill prepared. That's just me as a fan, someone who's watched all of his fights numerous times. I know when he looks off. At least I think I do. I mean, I'm sure his trainers will disagree with me, but like his coaches will disagree. But so I just think it was an off night. But again, where do you go? If he retires, I wouldn't be upset at all. I think it's time. Just like Woodley. Now, he's just first lost. I mean, he's just lost the belt. Look, dude, he's 38, and no one's gone through what he's gone through as a champion. Maybe GSP, maybe. GSP gets knocked out, gets finished by Matt Serra, has to come back, has to fight Matt Hughes before he eventually gets back to Matt Serra. All these things. I mean, GSP had a rough road, and he faced a lot of criticism. Unfair criticism, I should call it. And I guess he was more marketable. I guess you could say he was more marketable than Stipe, or the UFC at least tried to market him better. But with all those things said, I mean, I think it's time to potentially just retire. What left is there to do? Okay, you want a trilogy fight with Francis. What's left? What's left? You could fight Derek Lewis.
It's not necessarily what's left. I guess it's kind of the same thing as Tyron. If we think we're looking at either hang the gloves up now or 1 to 2 more fights before you do, can you go back in there, beat Ngannou, and then walk away as the champion? Or do you go in, lose, and now you're sitting at 2 losses with no chance of getting that title back again before you retire?
Yeah, I don't know. And also, I don't know if there's a more battle-tested chin in the UFC than Stipe's.
Yeah.
I mean, the shot he took from Ngannou in the first round KOs anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
One shot KOs anyone else, and he ate it. The shot that finished him was as clean as it gets. I mean, on the point of the chin. I mean, that's just there's. I don't care. I mean, anyone hits you on the point of the chin like that, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Francis hits you on the point of the chin like that, you're fucked.
You might have died.
So let me say good things about Francis now. So either way, I hope Stipe really. I hope he takes quite a bit of time to figure out what's next. And if retirement is next, I would not be, as a fan, upset at all. I don't think he has anything left to prove. I think he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. period, any organization. And that's where I'm going to end it. So with Francis, look, I don't dislike Francis at all. I never have. Obviously, if he's fighting Stipe, I'm rooting for Stipe, and I want Francis to lose. But he's a bad motherfucker. There's no way around it. And he proved last night that he's learned technique. You know, one of my criticisms was like, he doesn't have any technique. He just bum rushes people and throws those slobber knockers at them. And when they connect, the other person goes to sleep.
Is he kind of like what Brock Lesnar was when Lesnar first came into the UFC? I mean, Lesnar probably had
you could
more
say that,
technique
sure,
because he had the big wrestling background and stuff like that, but he wasn't like when he came in, strength and power was the biggest things he had going for him.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar had actual wrestling.
True. Yeah.
Good wrestling.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Francis doesn't panic when he gets hit. Brock Lesnar panicked every time he got hit.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
So, but you know, Francis look, dude, I mean, he's still getting better because he hasn't been doing MMA that long. You know, and that's the thing. Like, he did last night show that he's made improvements. He's throwing leg kicks, he was throwing head kicks. His grappling looked good. He paced himself. So he's going to be a tough guy to beat, you know. And as I stated before we knew who was the winner of this fight, John Jones is fucked. I'm sorry. If he fights John Jones is fucked. And I'd be saying that if Stipe still had the belt. John Jones, he can put on as much weight as he wants, but
yeah, I have to imagine that Jones is pretty nervous right now.
I doubt it. But Dana White made a great point. He goes, just because John Jones tweets, "Show me the money," it doesn't mean he's ready to fight.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, I think like an episode or two ago, like, do we really ever know what John Jones really is thinking or says or what he means when he tweets and when he says anything? I sure don't. Because the guy that once upon a time I thought was the GOAT I don't even like the guy anymore. I really can't stand him. You know? I mean, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt when he fucking plowed into a pregnant woman and fled the scene of an accident. Fled the scene of an accident. Fled the scene of an accident.
I was going to let that go just to see if you would go with fleed.
I catch on to my grammar mistakes here. So yeah, I can't even really. Anyway, those are my. So I don't know. I didn't want to spend this much time on the UFC because it's a bummer. But I mean, dude,
MGK.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for bringing that up. Holy shit!
Yeah,
that was the one thing I didn't want to forget. So here's a stat for you. This is what SportsCenter should have put up. Stipe is 0-2 with 2 KO losses when MGK is in the building. Oh, I'm not making that up for laughs. That's real.
Okay.
As soon as I saw on Twitter that MGK was in the building, I was like, I know what happened last time he was in the building. I know what happened. This is bad. This is bad. Man. That's a stat for you. Okay. Yes, I did see that. And I had people immediately text me and they're like, "What's up with your boy?" I was like, "What do you mean? What about it?" He's banging Megan Fox. What's up with you? Why aren't you banging Megan Fox? But I will say this. Travis Barker, let me just explain something to you. No grown man should so aggressively suck on a lollipop like you did last night, sir. I don't know if he didn't realize he was on television, but homeboy was slurping on that lollipop. First of all, if you're a grown man, you shouldn't have a lollipop anywhere near your existence anyway. Give it to your kid. Okay. You don't put lollipops in your mouth as a grown person.
Is this what Raised on the Radio is now? Are we going to badmouth people for eating a sucker wrong?
No, not wrong in general.
In general?
I mean, I could really say what I want to say.
You don't, hang on. You'd never eat suckers ever? Because you're an adult.
I'm an adult.
In what book is it?
I don't eat popsicles. I don't eat what?
Come on. On a hot day, a popsicle is the shit.
I don't eat pudding. I don't eat Jello.
Dude,
What are we
what is
doing?
your problem? Are you okay?
I'm a grown person. I eat
So
grown
what?
people food.
So what?
Suckers? You eat
Oh,
suckers and you call them suckers?
well,
Ugh,
you called it a lollipop.
that's what it is.
Oh man,
Lollipop, lollipop, oh, you know the song. It's a
this
lollipop.
this show may have just retired itself.
Like a lollipop. See?
Hey, we did talk about that what was it, last episode? 2 episodes ago?
What's the song called? Is it called Sucker?
I
It's
would
called
hope
Lollipop.
not. I would hope not.
Yeah, okay. So Travis Barker's grown ass shouldn't have a fucking sucker in his mouth. How about that? He might as well have a binky in his mouth.
What about Jolly Rancher? Can you eat a Jolly Rancher?
I don't.
That's like the same
Let me.
thing without a stick, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah, for sure. But I still don't eat Jolly Ranchers. But yes, you're right. It shouldn't be on a stick, and you shouldn't be holding it like this and putting it in your mouth like that. Okay, that's weird. See how gross you feel right now because I did that, and I had nothing in my hand. All I had to do was mime what he was doing on television with Kourtney Kardashian. No, Jolly Rancher. I mean, I don't eat candy. I'm not a candy person.
Yeah. I'm not really a candy person. A little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll eat a candy bar here and there, but not much.
I mean, if I were going to eat candy, it would be like a fucking. I mean, I like Reese's Pieces.
Okay.
Those are, and believe me, those can be my. I will destroy an entire.
Are those still a thing? I can't remember the last time I seen Reese's Pieces.
How fucking dare you? Are they still a thing? Yeah, of course. They're not going anywhere ever.
Okay.
True or false? Reese's Pieces do not have chocolate.
No, they have to have chocolate, right? The outer coating?
They do not.
That's peanut butter?
It's peanut butter with a candy shell.
Candy, but the candy's made out of chocolate?
It's not chocolate. It's candy.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
I had no idea.
Yep. Most people don't. They think they're eating chocolate and peanut butter. It's not chocolate. Reese's peanut butter cups, that's chocolate or some sort of weird Taiwanese form of chocolate, wherever they're made. What was I going to say? Oh, so Reese's Pieces and Butterfingers are the shit.
Taste wise, yes. Teeth wise, no.
Oh yeah, you'll break a tooth for sure. If you get one of them old ones, dude, you might as well just make an appointment at the dentist. Eat it, but make an appointment because you're gonna have to get your grill fixed. I'm just thinking of stuff that I like in ice cream, like Reese's Pieces, like a Reese's Pieces concrete.
And see, that's where I'm the opposite. But I don't like really crunchy stuff. And like when you take like Reese's
it's got to be crunchy
and it's frozen, I'm looking at trying to go to the dentist the next day.
I can handle it. I have a grown man teeth. I don't know what kind of little chompers you got.
Congratulations. You don't eat suckers.
No. Jesus.
Are you a sour guy? Like, do you like the sour taste of anything?
Nah, not really, dude. No.
Like Warheads. Do you remember Warheads?
God, no. I don't eat that garbage. What is that?
I don't know.
Why did our parents let us do that?
I don't know. This was like 4th grade for me.
Airheads. Like what are airheads? What is that?
I don't know, but airheads.
It's insulation. Just dig out the wall and eat insulation. That's what an airhead is.
Starburst. Don't tell me you don't like Starburst.
OG Starburst. Yes.
What does that mean? Oh,
OG.
Like not the like tropical flavors and
all that nonsense. Get that shit out of my face. I like red,
normal, red, orange. I
like OG.
And pink.
No. There are 2 flavors. You eat the red or the pink. The rest of them, get rid of them. Starburst, I can do. That's okay. But again, what are we eating? What is that? What are we eating?
You remember Now and Laters?
I do. Those are terrible.
Those are terrible. They're like a knockoff Starburst that's hard on your teeth.
Yeah, it's like, hey, do you want a colored brick to put in your mouth and rip your teeth out? Have a Now and Later.
I think about these things like it's nostalgia for me to like of going to the public pool when I was a kid, which I will never do in my life again. But like the public pool, and you'd have like the concession stand at a public
Sure,
pool
sure, sure.
where you'd go up. It was like, those kinds of things are like Laffy Taffy. That was a big one.
Again, disgusting. Not sure what Laffy Taffy is.
Do you like banana?
No,
You don't like banana at all?
I don't like banana flavored anything. I don't like bananas.
Really?
No, they're disgusting.
Hmm.
We've really spent this long talking about candy. It's Travis Barker's fault. Look, dude, you don't put lollipops in your mouth, especially when you're on TV. I really want to say what I texted to someone when I saw that, but I won't. We'll keep it somewhat civil today. I'm trying to think of the other candy I like in ice cream. There's one more that I'm forgetting. So what did I say? Reese's Pieces, Butterfinger, and Heath. Heath bars are one of my favorite. Okay. If you put a Heath in front of me, I am a candy person. I will destroy Heath bars. And apparently that makes me old. How dare you? What is it? It's toffee covered in chocolate.
Toffee. I'm a toffee guy. I like toffee.
Oh yeah. But apparently that makes me really old.
Dude, I will murder some Werthers. That's toffee, disgusting. Right?
Those are the
Dude,
worst.
Werthers are awesome.
That you're a 90-year-old man.
Thank you.
If only we're on a stick for you, and you could have a Werther's lollipop or Werther's sucker. Excuse me.
No, what would really make you old is remember those old, those strawberry looking candies that like your grandma would have in a candy dish.
Oh yeah.
Now that's old.
Always cut your tongue. They would always have a hole, and they would always cut your tongue every fucking time. Every time. Yeah, that's I remember true. Those. I remember those. Yeah, Mike. So I didn't grow up with grandparents. Like all of my grandparents had passed by the time I was like honestly, by the time I started forming memories. But I do have vague memories of two of my grandparents, and they lived across the street from us. But both of them died by the time I was 6 years old. I want to say 5 or 6. So like you're just forming vivid memories by that age. But so I would go across the street to their house, and there were 3 things that I always would just like beg for. One was a Pepsi, because my grandpa he loved whiskey with, he liked a whiskey Coke, but he had those little little glass bottles of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but soda out of a glass bottle it's a different formula. I don't know what they do to it. There might be crack cocaine in it. I don't know, but it's just different.
Hey, back then, probably.
Yeah. I'm not that old, but thank you. But so I would always ask for one of those, because he had a little, it wasn't even a fridge. It was like an ice bin. He would always have ice in it and always have Pepsis on ice. Nice. So I'd always ask for a Pepsi. And then after that, I'm like, well, I need candy with this Pepsi. So then I would walk back upstairs to my grandma. My grandma had like a pantry, and there was this dish that had candy, right? Werthers were in there. Those stupid strawberry candies were in there. However, do you know what zeros are?
Like zero bars? Candy bar?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
So she would have zeros, and she would have Almond Joys. Okay. So I'd always be like, can I please have an Almond Joy and a zero to wash this Pepsi down, or vice versa? And that's what they would give me. And then I would go walk back up to my house with chocolate on my face, and my parents would be like, again, really? Again, we're not letting you go there unsupervised anymore. This is ridiculous.
Okay. Hang with me here. Is a zero bar the whitest candy bar ever?
Quite possibly. No, the whitest candy bar is a Symphony.
Because it's got nougat in it, right? Isn't that what's in a zero bar? Is it nougat?
It's nougat. But nougat's in Snickers, and nougat's in Baby Ruth, and like Milky Ways and Three Musketeers.
Did you ever, back when you were in school, did you ever have like different organizations and stuff selling like candy bars in the box?
All the time.
Like the briefcase box.
Yeah.
Always had like 100 grand and Butterfingers.
Oh no, they would give us generic candy bars that just said the flavor on the wrapper. Yeah. I went to a school that my parents paid for, and this is what they gave us to sell. Fucking ridiculous.
Oh man.
Peanut butter. What flavor is that? Well, read the wrapper, shithead.
Had a Carmelo. Carmelos were legit.
Oh, oh, dude. I forgot about those. All right. So maybe I am a candy girl. I mean, I don't eat candy now.
I know. I get it. I don't either.
Try not
I
to be a fat fuck, you know?
I might eat like one candy bar a week,
Oh,
maybe.
a week? I haven't had a candy bar. I couldn't even tell you.
The only reason I do is because it's right there in my face when I go to Schnucks after I get off work on a Friday and I go there to like buy some stuff.
So you're one of those guys, you can't
I'm
resist getting the candy bar in the checkout lane?
well,
That's why they put them there. Do you
it's
buy a
always there.
Cosmopolitan too, or what?
I should.
That's fucking. Why can't you resist?
I don't know. It's just there. Like Walmart or anywhere else, I'm
Why they do
fine.
that?
I know. I understand marketing. I'm not a dumbass.
Uh, actually called merchandising, but go ahead.
Whatever. Whatever. I've been there.
So,
I worked it. I did it.
so what's your go-to? Snickers? What is it?
Have you had the new Snickers peanut butter?
Don't ask me if I've had any new candy. No,
Oh,
I
sorry.
haven't tried anything new.
It is pretty good. Milky Ways are good.
The last new thing I tried was it's whatever the thing is that has pretzels in it. What is it called?
Take five.
Yes. Yes.
That's not new, is it?
I think it's new-ish. Like it didn't
Is
exist
it
when I
really?
was a kid.
Yeah. Oh
So
wait, did you say Symphony a while ago? You said that was like the widest.
it has to be,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Is it? And like that's like big bar, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
We're forgetting Twix.
Twix is a good
We're
one.
forgetting Kit Kats, and we're forgetting 100 grand.
No, I said 100 grand in my briefcase box that I would sell when I was a
Oh,
kid.
okay. Okay. So
Oh, Crunch bars. Remember Crunch bars? I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
a Nestle Crunch?
Yeah,
That's still a normal candy, bro. I gave those out on Halloween.
really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what are terrible are Mr. Good bars.
I don't think I've ever eaten one.
It's just chocolate with peanuts in it, and for whatever reason, it's weird. Like peanut M&Ms are good.
What about Payday?
What's a payday? Oh, is that it's just peanuts and wrapped in just sugar and
Well, no, it's peanuts.
nougat,
Is it nougat? I don't know.
caramel.
Whatever. It's just like nougat and caramel or whatever with peanuts all around it. It's like it's something you would never eat in your car because the first bite peanuts just go everywhere.
You know way too much about candy bars, dude. It's getting a little bit scary.
Oh, come
So
on.
so let me ask this. So you like the person like if you get like are you a cereal person?
I'm getting to be more of a cereal person again. I gave up cereal for a long time
Okay.
just because it wasn't, I don't know.
Well, it's not good for you.
It's all sugar,
It's all of them.
but
And
I've
for
gotten
me,
back
it's
into it.
bad for me because I just shit my pants 5 minutes after I eat. It doesn't matter what cereal it is. I just shit my pants.
Is it just because of just sugar just do that to you in general?
Gluten. I'm not supposed to
Oh,
have
it's the gluten. I
Yeah,
got
I'm
you.
one of those. I'm one of those hipsters.
I got you.
But yeah, no, I haven't had cereal. I couldn't even tell you, dude. It's been so long. Well, the reason I ask, you're probably like you probably like Reese's peanut butter puff cereal and shit like that.
Not
What's your go?
yes
What's
and
your
no. I can
go-to?
eat it, but not all the time. I'm good with like a cinnamon toast crunch.
CT Crunch.
Yeah.
Did you see that shit that went viral where the person bought the family size cinnamon toast crunch and there were like shrimp tails in it and like
What?
you haven't seen this?
Ew, no. I
This
don't want
guy
to.
this guy posted on Twitter. It was like a picture and there were two. I mean, you could tell. I mean, I didn't even open it. You know, I just on my phone. I didn't even open the picture. I was like, why did he? Oh, those shrimp tails? And he's like, yeah, found these in my box of cinnamon toast crunch. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, upon further inspection, I found, and there was like a string. There was like just debris. There was debris in his.
How is that possible?
I don't know. Whoever the maker, maybe it's like General Mills, whoever the fuck the big corporate company is that makes that cereal, commented and they were like, upon further inspection, no other boxes of cinnamon. It was like so bizarre, like the back and forth. And then people started being like, they would just post pictures of something random, like a what is it called? Like a longhorn skull. Is that what
Oh
it's called?
yeah. Yeah.
it was just a picture of a Longhorn skull, and they're like, I can't wait till this guy says he found one of these in his box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Anyway, that was like last week.
Can you imagine if you're like the owner of General Mills or one of these big brands, and you have an outbreak of something, or one box has like just something ridiculous in it like that, like shrimp tails or whatever, like how freaked out you are.
Are you freaked out though?
Dude, if that's in one box, how many boxes could it be in, and how many stores could it be in right now?
Well, I got news for everyone. Nearly every item you purchase from the grocery store has something in it.
True.
A roach leg, the fucking shaving of a beetle, a fucking fly wing. There's something in it. It's just they're just.
I did a job quite a few years back where I was making and installing conveyor belts in different places, and
That sounds awful.
food places were some of those places that you would do that at.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any, but there
Do
was
it.
some pretty nasty shit that you would come across.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were taking an old conveyor belt off where food runs down that line all day long, you pull off a belt and there's like bugs and flies and all that kind of stuff like caked underneath it and all that. And you know what? The FDA gives a tolerance for that kind of stuff because there's no way around it. There's no way that you can't, like, you can make a place completely sterile from all that.
No.
So the FDA has to allow a certain percentage of that stuff to be in the food.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely, yeah. People complain about that. We'll be fine. We haven't survived this long without eating a few fucking bugs and rat tails and whatever else you can find. No, it was funny because I used to. I mean, I grew up working in bars and restaurants, and you see some crazy shit. Like, I remember, someone said something to me. You ever watch that show Bar Rescue?
Is that with John Taffer? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Really,
the show's the only good part of the show is the first 10 minutes when he goes in and basically calls them out for being awful. And then it's just like, okay, the transformation doesn't matter. It's stupid. They're just going to lose all their money in 3 weeks anyway. But somebody said something to me about that when I was still working in a bar. And they were like, is it really like this? I'm like, well, the bar that I currently work at, even if it was like this, I'm not going to tell you it's like that. So you can go tell all your friends and then no one shows up and I don't make any money. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, every place has a certain amount of grossness to it. But also health inspectors don't come to your restaurant every day.
Right.
So you have time to prepare and what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I go, now, again, the place I work at isn't like this, but I mean, I do talk to the health inspectors when they come and they tell me horror stories. So yeah, everything you see on that show, while a lot of it is staged, yeah, I mean, shit is like that. Yeah. There will be a place that has a walk-in cooler with spores growing out of the wall. There will be, one place there was like a possum behind the bar. Like, yeah, no, that's real.
Yeah.
So we used to, oh my God. I think we talked about this. Like I said, like if I go out to a bar, I want it to be like your corner tavern. Like if I want it to be gross. Like you walk into the bathroom, you might get a disease, like that type of thing. But we used to go, God, I won't give the name of the place, but because it's called something else now, and I haven't been there in a long time. But it was down by the old the Lemp Mansion. So we used to have a rehearsal space at the old Lemp factory, right? And down the street would be two bars. We would go to the one because one of the members bartended there part-time and then his cousin owned the place. But dude, you would walk. So it's just say it's the beginning of the day. Like we're getting everything ready for business. You would walk into the kitchen, flick the lights on, and the amount of roaches you would just see scatter, like horror movie shit, dude. Unbelievable. There was always standing water in the men's room. Like you were always standing in water when you took a piss. It was bad. It's bad, dude. I can't believe we hung out there a lot.
Like, could you imagine, like, if it was a requirement that people had to walk through the kitchen to get to their seat if they were going to a restaurant to eat? Like, how many people would just walk straight out the door?
Yeah. Yeah. But dude, I'll be honest, like a lot of places, but there are a lot of places that you would almost be surprised as to how clean it was, you know?
Yeah.
And I've seen them. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. But look, dude, it is what it is. Like I said, you deal with a certain amount of filth, no matter where you eat, no matter where you go. It's the way it is. Like there's no
Let
way
me
around.
ask you this. This is a kind of on the same topic, and we don't have to go down it deeply, but I just kind of want to get your thoughts on it because I kind of feel like I know what your thoughts are on it.
Oh boy.
As far as like tipping goes, I've heard this conversation happen here lately, and I want to know what your thoughts is on like restaurants, bars, whatever. Should tipping go away and people get paid an hourly wage, like a higher hourly wage, or should tipping stay and you just take what you get as far as if if you make money or not?
Okay. This is going to be long, so we'll go down the rabbit hole.
Okay,
As someone who used to earn a living in tips.
As soon as I heard this conversation happen, I was like, man, that would be a good topic for the show because you've been in this for, in your past, you did this a lot. So
I paid for college with tip money, dude. Yeah, this is pretty serious to me.
yeah.
You know, without my tip money, I probably don't get a degree. So, okay. You should always tip, regardless of the service. You should tip. Because if you don't, you're making a bold statement that you are better than the person who is serving you. You're not. You've made an agreement. When you walk into a restaurant, you've made an agreement that you and everyone else in there are on this same level. You're no better than the cooks. You're no better than the dishwasher. You're no better than the servers, the busboys, the host. You're not better than anyone. Okay. You've agreed. Once you walk through those doors, you've agreed that everyone is the same. So you should tip. Did you see, again, back on Twitter, this went viral a couple weeks ago, maybe just viral amongst the people I follow, but there was Crown Candy, maybe, was where the server works. She posted a receipt where the person wrote on the receipt, they didn't tip, and they wrote on the receipt that taxes are theft or something, and then put $0 for the tip. $70 check. So this waitress, I hate using the word waitress. This server worked for $70 and didn't get any of it. But then someone retweeted it and said, this is the same server that didn't get tipped because she asked politely that her guests, her customers put masks on. Right.
Gotcha.
So because that, people got pissed off, didn't tip her.
Right.
So I retweeted that and said, I don't care if she said, hey, fuckface, put a mask on. You never not tip, ever. Unless she punches your baby in the head or sniffs your baby's head. Let's just say sniffs your baby's head. How about that? Unless she does something to you, physically to you or someone in your family or who's with you, you tip. He or she. Sorry, I keep saying she. Like women are the only ones that serve tables. So sexist. I'm catching myself.
You got to do better.
I'm catching myself. But
well, let me play devil's advocate on it though. So like, do you believe that I agree with you that you should always tip? No matter what, you should always tip unless there's extreme circumstance. But does the amount of tip that you leave, should that tell the server, this is what I thought of how you did tonight? If you have a server who never comes to your table, like all night long, and you have a $70 bill, do you give them a $15 tip? Or if you leave a $2 tip, is that outrageous?
Well, let me just stop. Let me just ask you, do you think $15 on $70 is a good tip?
I would say yes. Is that not?
Yeah, I think that's a shitty tip.
Really?
Absolutely. We won't get into that.
But okay, but does that the other things that come into play too is like how many people's at the table too, right? Or do you not look at that?
I mean, if I go out to dinner with my wife and our bill's $70, I'm tipping more than $15.
Okay.
So is my wife. But again, you're talking to two people who did it,
Right.
you know. And that's the thing. When you work as a bartender or server and you know one of your customers is a bartender or server, you step it up. You step
Yeah.
it up a little bit
Yeah.
because you know they're going to fucking tip you. You
Uh-huh.
just do.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to get back to answering your question. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Uh, years ago, my wife and I, we weren't married then, but we went to one of her friends' weddings. And after the reception, we went to a bar to hang out with people that were at the wedding. I think the bride and groom even went to this bar, really cool. And I didn't know, I had no idea what it was. It was, excuse me, it was really close to the reception venue. So we walked, ended up Ubering home, all this shit. Because we got pretty lit. But so I didn't know what the place was. But the place was awesome, right? Food was good. The service was good. The music was cool. Like it was a big place. Everything about it was cool, right? So I tweeted it, and I tweeted that I added them, and they like tweeted me back and were like very appreciative. And I'm like, all right, cool. I got a new spot that I want to go to every once in a while. So I go another time. Everything's great, right? So fast forward, like I don't know, 6 months down the line, maybe we go back. My wife and I go back with two other people, another couple, and I think one other person to this place. And we walk down the stairs to the hostess stand. And we have a party of five. Her attitude was so shitty. She was so condescending and just so weird about everything. So she goes, yeah, we don't have one. And just stared at us. And so, okay. I'm like, well, when do you expect to have one? Because we like it here. We'll wait. Like that's how I said it. Like, okay, well, when do you expect? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it stares at us again. I'm not making any of this up. I swear to God. I think about this probably like once every couple of months. She's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And just stares at us. And then we're like, so now my wife grabs my wrist and she goes, so can you just let us know? Because we'll wait. We don't mind waiting. She's like, can you find out? Can you do that? Okay. She like walks away. We can see her the entire time. She doesn't go around a corner. She doesn't duck down anywhere. We can see that she's talking to no one, right? But she is pretending to speak to someone as if we can't tell that there's no one in front of her.
What
Sort of
the
guy.
heck?
Moving her
Real.
hands, moving her head, right? Like she's asking. And I'm so at this point, the mood amongst our group is like, okay, what the fuck, right? She turns around and as she's walking back, she has a smirk on her face. I swear to God. So like, I go, okay, guys, I'll take this one, I guess. And I go, so what do you think? That's what I said. She goes, well, still not sure.
No
I
shit.
go, so I go, what is going on? That's what I said. I said, what is going on? She goes, what? Like that. What? So now my wife, she goes, hey, we don't understand what's going on. And we feel like you're being kind of shitty. We just want a table. Can we go sit at the bar? Right? That's what we said. Now there were seats at the bar. Typically in a place, you just walk up to the bar. You don't need to wait.
Right.
We were being polite because we honestly were going to do that while she's off talking to the wall. We were going to do that. We were like, fuck it, let's just go sit at the bar. Well, we didn't want to sit at the bar. We wanted to sit at a fucking table. We wanted to have dinner at a table. Don't mind sitting at the bar if that's all you have. So my wife very politely goes, well, can we just go sit at the bar? Seats. She goes, yeah, those aren't available. All right. So now at this point, we're like, fuck this. Like our friends, they're like, all right, let's just fucking get out of here. This is so weird. And so, and I go, no, I don't know if I can let this one go because this is now again, work in the industry. And at this time, at this time, because my wife and I had just met. At this time, I'm still in the industry part-time. My wife is still in the industry part-time. So we just both go, can we talk to a manager? Like anyone else? Can we just talk to him? And she goes, I don't know. No. We're like, you're not allowed to say I don't know to any more of our questions.
Right. Yeah.
Either you go get your manager or we'll go find someone who we think looks like the manager. And we were like, we've been here before. We really like this place. We really would hate to leave right now with this being our last experience here. That's what we said. Again, being very polite, getting a little bit loud, a little bit more aggressive, but still trying to maintain. So then she walks over with the manager and we're just like, hey, we're just trying to get a table. We're not really sure what her problem is. We just want to let you know, like, she's not being very helpful. And I think we're going to go. And the manager was like, well, don't go. Do you want to go sit at the bar? And she goes, well, she said those aren't available. And so the manager looks, like peeks around. She goes, oh yeah, those aren't available. And we're like, why did you fucking offer then, you fucking twisted bitch? So like,
come on.
So we go, you know what? It's okay. We're just going to go. And the manager goes, well, I'm sure she was being helpful. And I go, no. We just told you she wasn't being helpful. And to be honest with you, both of you right now are costing one of your servers a really good tip, because you're looking at 3 industry people right now, because the other couple, my buddy's girlfriend in the industry as well. I go, you're looking at 3 industry people and your server was going to get well taken care of tonight. And you just cost whoever that server would have been their tip. And then we left, and the whole time that fucking hostess had the same smirk. I don't know. She might've been retarded, and I hate using that word, but for real, she might've been mentally challenged.
Have you ever been back to that place yet?
Nope.
Since then?
That was the last time.
Never.
The last time. And it's a shame because I really liked it.
Yeah.
So like my point to that story is, dude, when you're in the industry, you really, really appreciate when someone from the industry comes in, because people don't tip.
Yeah.
They don't. They suck at it. So to answer your question, yes, you should tip.
But what you're saying, it doesn't matter how the service is now. And what I'm not saying like the whole mask thing that you talked about a while ago. I'm not saying circumstances like that where you just have shitty people who get mad because you ask them to put their mask on and then you don't tip. I'm talking like legit circumstances where the server was not good. Do you give the same amount of tip no matter what, whether the service was extraordinary or the service sucked? Legit sucked.
Okay.
Like you didn't see the server most of the night. Your drink was empty half the time. The food wasn't great, which I know that's a cook thing, not a server thing, that kind of thing. But like, does that matter?
Okay. I'll give you my rules. Here are my rules. Okay. These are just, if the service was bad, and again, if no one at my table was physically threatened or harmed, even if the service was bad, even if all those things happened that you just said happened, they're still going to get 20% from me.
Okay.
Still. But it's funny you said that the food's bad. Most people don't understand that logic. People think it's the server's fault.
Right. Yeah, I know. I get
They don't
that.
make that connection at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll still tip 20%. Just that's my rule.
So when I was listening to this conversation, though, I was trying to think about it from like a business standpoint.
Okay.
And I was thinking about like how much money a business would lose if they were to get rid of tipping and start paying the servers an hourly wage. Because if you pay a server $15 an hour, let's say, and they're used to making $4 or $5 an hour plus tips, and that might be shooting high, it may be like $3 an hour for a lot of people. But anyways, the company's used to paying servers $3 an hour, and then all those tips don't come out of the company's pocket. That's money that came from the customer that goes back to the server.
Yeah.
Now, if you pay them $15 an hour, now that's, $12 more an hour they're paying their servers that comes out of the company's pocket. So it's actually customer, like if you did away with, my point is if you did away with tips and you paid a higher hourly wage for servers, it's going to be more money coming out of the customers or the business's pocket.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. As someone who has been to places where that is the case, the service isn't great. So again, if you as a person who doesn't want to tip can tolerate lackluster service, then that might be the way to go. But I mean,
What
and
about
I'm
like,
not saying that it's going to be like that everywhere, but I think if you are a business and you do that, you need to hire the best of the best.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, a place my wife worked at when she was finishing college, you had to take tests. You had to memorize the entire menu. Uh, Now they didn't. They still made tips. They didn't get a high hourly wage, but they hired the best of the best when it comes to servers and bartenders. And this is a corporate chain. Um, and those people make really good money. Make really good money because
Right.
they're good at what they do. So if
Yep.
you're a business and you transition into that, you need to hire the best of the best, and you should be proud of that. And you should tell people, you should promote the idea that, hey, we pay our servers an hourly wage. While tipping may be appreciated, it's not necessary. We only hire the best, and then it's up to the server to be the best.
Yeah.
But that's easier said than done. And as I said, as someone who's been to places where, I mean, I wouldn't even call it service. I would just call it their person that's there for real. Like it's
What
bizarre.
about what about places that make the servers or bartenders or whatever divide up the tips equally between
Oh,
everybody?
fuck off.
That's gross,
Yeah,
right?
fuck you. No, not a fucking chance. We did, dude. I worked at a place. It was I want to say it was like maybe like during Mardi Gras or one of these bigger things that happen here in the city. And we knew we were going to be busy. So extra people that day, but still the same amount of bartenders. But it was like, hey, we're going to pull all this together and the servers are going to get, I go, no. I'll go home right now. The servers are not getting any of my fucking tips. I don't want any of the servers' tips. I'm not running the fucking drinks out to the tables.
Right.
Not a
Mhm.
fucking chance. Yeah, fuck that. I mean, I guess in some cases that makes sense, but God, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. Fuck. Dude, I hated it. I just did it because it was easy. It was conducive to a school schedule, but fuck, I hated it. Man. See, my wife loved it. My wife would still do it today. For real.
So there's if somebody were come up to you with a really good, like it was somebody a really nice place right now, and you could with your personal life make it work for a part-time job, for you would not do it again?
No,
Never.
no,
No.
mm-mm. No,
Interesting.
not a chance.
Hmm.
No. It just, it is what it is. Look, like I said, it paid the bills, kept me fed, paid for things, but no, not a fucking chance. You just eventually, I think it's just something that you hopefully put behind you, if that makes sense. Meaning, it's not a means to an end. For me, anyway. I never did it with the idea that, hey, this could potentially be what I do for the rest of my life. Not if, no.
Gotcha.
And if I ever had because after I got a degree, I was having trouble, finding a job. So I was still bartending and I got offered, I don't know, to be like a part-time manager or whatever, you know. So when I did that job, I would get an hourly wage. And then if I did bartend, also I would keep the tips. And I was like, that feels like I'm moving towards staying here. And no
Right.
offense, but I don't want to stay here, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think if you move to hourly wages, I think it's hard to figure that out. They do it. So like most recently when I experienced this, I was in Portugal and Spain.
I
And
was gonna say that I'm pretty sure, like Europe and places like that do like that's how they do this.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and I still tipped. I
Did
still
did
tipped.
they did they take it odd?
So a lot of people will say like, oh, if you tip them, they're insulted. I didn't get that vibe. I don't really care if you're insulted. I appreciated your service, so I'm going to give you extra.
Right.
I mean, you can go to your wallet and give me some cash back to pay me back for that, but I'm giving you extra. I remember we were at this little cafe in Lisbon, and like, dude, in downtown Lisbon, there's a restaurant every 6 centimeters, and they're all little small hole in the wall. It's what makes the place cool. But anyway, I mean, it's the morning. We're up. We walked everywhere. We probably walked 15 miles a day, and so we're walking just down the street, just looking at places like, do we want to go there? Do we want to go here? Half the shit, it's in Portuguese. We can't read it anyway. We're just looking at the pictures on the menus, just like, oh, that looks good. I was like, to be honest, I just want a fucking regular breakfast. I want eggs. I want some sort of meat. I want coffee, maybe a Bloody Mary, right? So we picked this little place and we're out on the street and you're eating your breakfast with pigeons essentially. And we saw our server, and I'm using air quotes here, once. She took our order. That's it. She didn't bring the food. She didn't come back and refill anything. They had another person that would come back and ask about drinks. And in America, in the United States, if that happens, you go, "Are you our server now, or was the other?" Like,
Right.
You don't ask over there. You don't ask. You just let it happen. So someone else came back and was like, refills the water. I had a Bloody Mary, so now I got a little bit of booze, and I'm like, well, it's fucking sunny. It's beautiful. I want another drink. So the person I ordered the drink from was another person, not the person who filled up the water, not the person who was our server, right? But that server came back to give us the check, and I tipped. And I don't know how she felt.
And you don't know who that money goes to.
Yeah, whatever.
One of the 8
We were
people
happy. We were happy. We're on vacation. The food's good. We're a little bit boozed up now. It's sunny. It's beautiful. We're going to give you extra. Sorry, that's the way we are, you know?
Yeah.
But I have been places where people do, like, you could tell if you're good at reading people, you would know not to tip because they were, again, but okay, here's a perfect example. If you go to a chain restaurant in Europe, those they make like $20 an hour, right? 20, 22. I think I even read they make up to like $25 an hour. You don't tip them. You just don't. But I would never in a million years go to a chain restaurant if I was in Europe. So I haven't tested the waters on that theory, but I would,
like chain restaurant as in, like, give me an example.
like a Fridays or a fucking.
They have Fridays in Europe?
Yeah. Applebee's.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah, dude. Oh yeah. If you're the heir to the Applebee's throne, you are balling. But yeah, I don't know. Just tip. Unless they threaten you physically or steal your wallet, just tip. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you've made an agreement with other human beings. So what also, I mean, I say that like you're not better than them, but I don't think that I'm better than anyone, regardless of where I'm at. That's not my point. My point is you walk into the building with the understanding that, hey, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to achieve the same goal here, to eat, to get our food and leave.
Right.
You're helping with that. Let's go. Let's go. What do you got? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Who were you talking to about this? Is it someone that doesn't tip?
No, I wasn't having the conversation. I was actually listening to the conversation.
Oh,
it was on a podcast.
What were they saying? Are you going to name the podcast? Or are you afraid?
No, I will. It was the Rizzuto Show.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a radio show, sir.
Well, I listened to it on the podcast because I can't listen to it when they are
special.
So I know, right?
Anyway,
but yeah, they were. It was one of those things where most of them agreed with what you're saying, but then you would have like your your listeners who would email in, basically changing the words of what they were saying and making them sound like they're wrong.
What do you wait? What do you mean?
I guess, or maybe they were. So like, one of the guys would say something about, like, give their opinion, and then a listener would, like, over that night or something, once they listened to it, they would email in and I guess maybe take it differently than how they were trying to portray it. So like,
Okay.
if I were to give my position here, and then somebody were to take it differently than the way that I'm trying to say it, then they, write in and or email in or whatever and be like, hey, I disagree with what you're saying. This is how it should be. And then they had to go back and kind of go over it and explain that they weren't trying to say it the way that that listener took it.
So like normal human shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's the shit that you just deal with that when you have a podcast or you're on the radio, right? Just
you have to.
Yeah. So I will. What were they saying that was so wrong, that they was being misconstrued so extremely?
It was.
I'm not saying they said anything wrong anyway. I'm just saying what. I feel like this is a pretty.
It was basically about the whole the topic that I brought up about, should you pay with servers a higher wage instead of letting them get tips. And then it was basically our whole conversation. But it was people emailing in and saying basically they agree with either people getting paid more, or they disagree with it, or they agree. Then they went down the rabbit hole of the, if you give $15 instead of $3, does that matter? Should you pay the same amount the whole time? And then another part that they were talking about was, if, say, you go somewhere and the service is absolutely terrible, do you either just give a small tip and not go back, or do you give the normal tip that you would and not go back? Or do you ever go above the server and be like to a manager and say, do you critique them? Or like, do you say, maybe you should talk to this server about this way they're doing things? Or do you just walk away and never come back? Do you come back one more time, and do you see how the service is that time? Or all those different things. They were just throwing, spitballing all different ideas. And I don't know. I'm normally I'm kind of up in the air. If I go somewhere once and the service is really bad, but I liked the food, or I liked the place itself, I might give it another chance, because you may get another server who is absolutely awesome and, change your outlook on the place.
Very true.
But if you go back a second time and you get that same server and the service still sucks, what do you do? Do you just walk away forever? Or do you ever walk into a place knowing that you don't like one of the servers and you ask for another server? Is that gross?
That's insanely gross. And so is evaluating the server's performance to a manager. That's disgusting. Don't ever do that. If you're listening now and you're a person who has done that, stop immediately. Don't ever do it again. I understand I just told a story where we asked for a manager. This was different. We didn't even get to the goddamn table to have a server.
Right.
Okay. It's a little bit different. Don't evaluate your server. That's gross. Oh, God. Look, dude, there are all different levels of what people consider to be good service anyway. Here's what I love. First of all, I'm a hood rat. I love going to hood rat places. So I expect poor service. I expect someone with an attitude. I like my bartender to have an attitude, issues. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear about their day. I want to hear what pisses them off, right? Don't even ask me what I'm drinking. I'm listening. What happened to you today, right?
Uh-huh.
But I do appreciate good service. But you know what is better than good service is a good fucking attitude. I can't tell you how many times. Let me ask you this before I tell you this. When you go to a place, if the server does not tell you their name, like right off the bat, do you ask for their name? Or do you just call them sir or ma'am or miss or excuse me, or right?
Well, I guess that kind of depends on if they're wearing a
no name tag. Forget about that.
Name tag. No, I don't think I ever get that personal with my server.
See, we do. We do.
Okay.
Absolutely 100%. Like we'll order let's say we sit down, they walk up, they don't say their name. They go, but hey, how you guys doing? Start you with something to drink. We'll go, we'll order, and then we'll go, by the way, what's your name? And they'll tell us, and they'll go, thank you, such and such. Right? Okay. The reason that we do that is because we want to let them know that we're not fuck faces.
Right.
So don't treat us like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That also, again, is part of the agreement. When you go out into public and you expect someone to serve you food, they expect you not to be a shithead. So a little bit of kindness on your end goes a long way. I just want to again, if you're listening, trust me, it goes a long way. Ask for their name. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Anyway, fuck, I forgot what your question was. Damn it. I knew I shouldn't have. Oh, damn. Fuck. What was your question before I said that?
I don't remember. I threw a lot of questions in there. As far as the critiquing the server,
yeah. So I can't tell you how many times we've gone to a place, and it might be a place we've been to many times. It might be a new place where, look, the server might have been a little bit slow, might have been a little bit overwhelmed, and they, weren't the best at being quick, but they had a great attitude. It goes so much further.
Yeah, for sure.
In my household, anyway, if they have a good attitude.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if you have a good attitude, you don't need to apologize. Food's taking a little long, don't worry about it. If you have a good attitude, trust me, we're not worried about it either.
Yeah.
The drink's wrong, the food's wrong, whatever. But it helps to let them know at the start of this transaction that you also have a good attitude and that you're a polite person. If
Right.
you give the impression that you're going to be a fucking hard ass, believe me, most people will give it right back to you.
Well, it's kind of like what they were saying on the show too, is like, if you should walk into a restaurant, like this is a 5 star out of 5 star place off the bat. Act like that when you sit down. Don't go in saying, I'm going to give this place 2 stars. And then you have to earn my 5 stars.
Yeah, you're a shithead if you do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. That shouldn't be how it is. You should be going in expecting a good experience, and not being a shithead.
I agree, but also you should just expect normal human interaction when it starts, because that's what it is. So you be polite as well.
Yeah, but
I understand that some people
human interaction is a different thing these days, isn't it? You got to pull your eyes away from your phone enough to place your order.
Ooh. If you are a person who orders while staring at your phone, you are scum of the earth. So again, if you're listening, you ever ordered food or a drink and did not look up from your phone to the person taking your order, stop doing that. You're a bad person. You're letting that server know that you're a bad person. I don't care what year it is. I don't care how cool your phone is. I don't care if you're checking your stocks. I don't care. Don't do that. Put the phone down. God, you see that so much now. Oh. And in fact, it doesn't even have to be a phone. Look up at the person asking you questions and speaking to you.
Yeah,
be a human.
Sure. Yeah. Or just for long enough while you're sitting, like at least try to keep your phone in your pocket.
I don't even care if it's out. Just don't.
But like, I'm just talking about like with the people you're with.
Oh
like,
yeah.
If it's just you and your wife, or if it's, you and a friend or whatever, what's the point in going somewhere and just sitting and staring at your phone the entire time?
I agree. It's weird. It's bizarre.
Makes no sense.
It's the way it is, unfortunately. I can't remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something else too. Shit. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation because so many people treat it differently and so many people expect different things out of service. And that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever, you've been married quite a while now, but so like, have you ever like been out on a date with someone and they treated the server poorly and you're like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know.
I don't think so. Maybe I can't remember an instance, but it feels like maybe I've been on one where there may have been overreaction. not like that they're shitty towards the server, but like, if the food was not exactly the way they wanted or something like that, may overreact on how they get it fixed or something along those lines. But I can't remember an exact situation that happened.
You ever have to correct family members?
What do you mean?
Like be out to dinner with family members and they're shitty, and you got to go, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?
No, have you been through that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Um, yeah. I won't say who. I don't want to put any family members on blast, but yeah, quite often actually.
Wow.
It doesn't sink in either.
No, I've got family members who I've been in that situation with, actually at a restaurant, but they've never been shitty towards the server. It's more of like once the server walks away, they'll mouth and be like, just say whatever shit they want to say. And I'm just like, whatever. I just brush it off and let it go. As long as it doesn't escalate to where they're actually saying these things to the server themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. I don't like that. Yeah, dude, God.
Though, but what you're saying is interesting though, because even people in your position that have been servers before, some people in that position look at it differently than you though.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
they go in expecting everything to be absolutely perfect. And if it's not, it's on the server. The server's doing a shitty job. And I've heard that comment before from somebody who's been in that industry who goes into a restaurant and something's not exactly perfect and they're like, well, this is shit. Like this is bullshit. They should be doing it this way. They should be doing it that way.
Yeah, those people suck too.
Yeah.
I wish I knew who you were talking about.
I mean, it's nobody you know.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to call them immediately after we were done podcasting. So I asked the question, you ever been on a date? And so I have two stories. One's completely, but I want to tell it anyway because it just made me think of it. But so yeah, I went out with a girl once, and this is so, but keep in mind, my first job ever was at a restaurant, right? I grew up working in restaurants. Now I've had other jobs, but I would always find myself going back because it's what I grew up. My family had a restaurant when I was a kid.
Okay.
And grew up going to it. And then, I illegally worked there when I was 12, 13 years old, washing dishes. But let me tell you something, dude. When you're 12 years old and you got $54 in your pocket, you are a pimp.
Baller.
Okay.
You were balling.
So but so I grew up in the industry. I just know how you're supposed to treat. I have a different idea of it. So, but I remember I don't remember how old I was, and I don't think at the time I wasn't at the, I know at the time I was not in the industry, but so went on a date with this girl and we sit down and she started complaining about the lighting in the restaurant. Why is it so dark? And I was like, okay. He was like, okay, that's okay, whatever. And then the server comes and it was like, fucking devil. I was like, what has happened? So he was just like, so let me ask you a question. That's how she started the comment. Let me ask you a question. If I order this and it comes up and I'm like, oh God.
Oh, here we go.
So I was like, oh no. So this was a second date, not a first date. First date was a movie, no dinner. Thank God. So I'm just listening and I'm watching and I'm like, I'm ordering and I'm like, maybe she'll pick up on my vibes, right? Maybe she'll pick up on hey, just be cool, right? And she didn't pick up on it. And she's like, send her food back. And I was just so send her food back, want a refund, this and that. I was like, holy shit. And it got to the point where I was like, well, look, we don't need a refund. I'm paying. It's totally fine. Yeah, I never went out with that girl again. Super weird. I was like, oh my God. It was so bizarre because while I was young, you kind of just expect humans to be shitty sometimes, but right. I didn't. I was so surprised by it. Because I think most of my time too, you expect that out of men. Men gotta announce their I'm the alpha. So if something's wrong, I gotta tell you, and I expect things to be this way. And but yeah, so I never saw that girl again. That was bizarre. And but it's funny, you almost don't know who people are until they're put into a social situation. It's almost like the true colors come out. I had another man, another situation. It's like yeah. So another situation where it was actually, God, this is how you know you're getting old, because you think back to these stories and you're like, God, I was just a baby. I didn't know shit about shit, but this person knew less than me. But so there's this girl I went out with a couple of times. Yeah, a couple of times. Like we went on a few dates, and it was a girl like I was pursuing. Like it was sort of like amongst my friends, like this girl's hot. I gotta go for it. That whole thing. Yeah, you know how it is. So
Mhm.
like started going out, and I was like, yeah, she's cool. Like this is good. This is good. So let's keep going out. So went to a house party together. It was like, I don't know, third or fourth
I seem like nothing, like no stories ever end well.
for me.
When it's no, when it starts
Oh,
out saying we went to a house party.
really? Yeah. Well, that's a good point. So that's a good point. So I took her. Hey, stop. So I took her to this house party where it was my friends. Like majority of it was my friends, right? Um, and everything's going fine. We were there for a couple of hours, and we're driving. So it's like, oh, am I taking you home? You coming back to my place? She's coming back to my place. And now we're the only ones in the car, thank God. And so I was just, we're kind of talking, and she's like asking me questions about a lot of the people that are there, right? So I'm getting a weird vibe, because
This is
she's
on.
not asking about
So you said this is on the way. Oh, going
leaving.
home, leaving. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So she's asking me about the people that are there, but I find it odd because there were like other girls there, and I'm like friendly, you know how like people get jealous,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm talking to other girls. So I'm thinking like that's where this conversation is going. She's not asking about the girls. She's asking about the guys, right? And these are like friends of mine that I've had for quite some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just put it to you this way. They're not the same color as me. How about that? So, but she's
Okay.
asking me like, how long have you known them? All this stuff. Did you go to school with them? And I'm like thinking like, okay, these are kind of like normal questions, but why didn't they come up while you were there? Right. So at first it's like a normal, I'm like, okay, there are no red flags but okay, you asked me how long I know someone. That's a normal question. Did you go to school with them? Normal question. Okay. So I eventually just out of curiosity, I'm just like, well, do you think it's weird that they're my friends? Right. And she's like, well, yeah, we're just different. I didn't have any N-word friends growing up. I was like,
Jesus.
what? Like, dude, I seriously almost had like a fucking seizure at the wheel. I was like, what? I was like, don't say it again if you were going to say it again. I heard you, but I'm saying what because I can't, like, she goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, no, no. And I go, I got to take you home. She goes, are you serious? So then we get into a fight.
Does she just come from a background that's normal?
I don't know. Um, I don't know. So like, I go, I got to take you home. So then we get into a fight because she's now like, and again, there was liquor and booze involved. So naturally, every argument is escalated to the next level because of alcohol. Um, and she's calling me this, calling me that, saying she doesn't, I don't understand, and I go, look, you can yell at me all you want, but I stand firmly on this position. We can no longer see each other. Like it's not cool with me. I don't care what excuse you have. It's not cool with me. I don't, it's not. Um, and so, pulled up to her place and she's still yelling at me the entire time, getting out of the car. And I go, okay, yeah, see ya, fuck off. And I, drove away, and she was texting me. Uh, yeah, texting me, a couple days after that, just, at first it would be like, I'm sorry. There would be like an apology. And then it would be like, well, fuck you. I just like, look, you're fucking psycho. Like
He's
I
an
can't.
insane person. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was so. It's so weird, and that's why I say like you don't know how people are until you put them into social situations. But like, I didn't experience that very much growing up. You know, I know it exists. I knew, and I know it existed, right? But I wasn't around that. I just wasn't. And I'm not trying to say that to sound like I'm some fucking, you know, uh, progressive fucking, liberal fucking whatever. You know, I just didn't grow. I didn't experience that. Um, and it was really the first time that I had in such an intimate sort of nature where I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's almost like you're, what the fuck? Like, um, yeah, it's very weird. Very weird. I just remember like immediately calling one of my friends that was still at the party. I was like, you'll never fucking believe what just happened. And they're like, and like, yeah, fuck that girl, but did you hit it? Did you hit it at least? Like,
Oh,
that whole fucking,
Jesus.
that whole guy thing. I was like, fuck that girl. That girl's crazy. Yeah, that's so yeah, you don't know until you put them in those. I don't know.
Yeah. Almost like if you're if you're newly dating someone, you've got to like ease into social situations somehow.
Well, I do, but see, that's the thing. My friends are part of the reason why I love my fucking wife is because my friends are a giant part of my life. I mean, you met a lot of them
Mhm.
recently, or and that was just, to be honest with you, that was only a fraction.
Right.
There were a lot of people that couldn't make it, but like, um, my friends play a giant role in my life. Who I am as a person, I have a lot of the same friends since I was a child, and it's weird. Every relationship I've been in that's been sort of a serious relationship, none of them have friends for that long. They just think it's bizarre. They think it's an accomplishment that I have friends for that long. You know, I don't know if it's a
Well, that's
male
just because they
female
know.
thing.
That's just because they know you, and they're just surprised that you have friends.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I don't know if it's a male female thing. In my experience, it seems to be a female thing. Like they just can't keep friends. They recycle friends. But that's part of the reason why my wife is awesome is because she right away, like, and that's the other weird thing too. And I don't want to, again, but my wife was always like, hey, let's hang out with your friends. Like it was her idea.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas previous relationships, I'll be like, well, we're going to go. Like, really? We can't just spend some alone time. Alone time? What do you mean?
Right.
Alone time? I thought it was a date night. Like, okay. So like my wife, when I met her, was always like, yeah, do you want to call? Like we would go somewhere to a bar, wherever, or we would go out to dinner and then go to a bar afterwards. Like, you want to invite some friends? I'm like, what'd you say? Do I what? So she could tell that I valued that. And I think she valued the fact that I had, close friends and still do. And they're her friends. And I don't know. That's important.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I guess it was, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, you see those really crappy relationships where it's like, and I'm sure you've been there too. Like you've been there where you got a friend or something who got into a relationship, and now all of a sudden you guys aren't really that close anymore, or really aren't friends anymore, and it's because the girl kind of pulled them away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it happens naturally, and it's not really anybody's fault. It's just a matter of they would, kind of rather spend time with the other person. But some situations, it's like, that the girl's got it out for pulling him away from everybody else and just being around her.
Or the
I've seen
guy.
it. Yeah, that's true. I've seen that too.
Yeah.
It's a jealousy thing, and it's
Don't be
not
so sexist.
healthy.
Um, yeah, yeah. You know what? I can't really think of any of my good friends that have ever done that.
Really?
Just acquaintances, and they were an acquaintance anyway. So I probably didn't even notice it until someone said something to me. And I was like, oh yeah, we don't really see that person much anymore. Huh. Well, there was. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Fuck. That was. I don't know how we ended up with me telling that story, but
We went from UFC to candy
Probably spent a little too much time on candy.
to
Not gonna lie.
to tipping to relationships.
Let me two more things I forgot that I
Oh,
forgot. The first thing is this. When I called out ESPN earlier, here's the reason why I didn't like that post. I don't celebrate people getting hurt.
Right.
I like fighting. I like watching it, but I'm not happy when someone gets badly hurt. I'm not. Mm-hmm. So I would have reacted that way if that was a picture of Francis Ngannou, if that was a picture of Colby Covington, who I despise with every fiber of my being. If it was Sean O'Malley, which, by the way, didn't bring that up. He is my least favorite fighter now. Don't know if you saw the highlights of his fight, but I would react that way if it were anyone. I don't celebrate people getting hurt. I celebrate competition. And I think in its truest form, mixed martial arts is the best competition probably you can witness, you know? But I don't like when people get hurt. I don't like if it's in control. And I don't like if it's on the street. Like, I don't watch videos of people getting knocked out. It's not my thing, you know, on the street, in bar fights, whatever. And I don't like watching it in a controlled environment like last night. So that's why I'm calling out ESPN. There's already enough when it comes to fighting, when it comes to, physical competition and guys being guys and sort of men fighting one another. There doesn't need to be any more. There doesn't need to be a boost to, you got knocked the fuck out. We can fucking see that he got knocked out.
Right.
We don't need you playing around about it. I don't know if I didn't quite say that as eloquently as I wanted to, but anyway, you get what I'm saying.
But did that become a culture because of like certain, like World Star Hip Hop? Isn't that one that did stuff like that?
Yeah.
And then like your shows like Ridiculousness and stuff like that praise or like their whole thing surrounds people getting hurt. Like, is it things like that started, or do you think it's just always been that way? Like, people always kind of want to see people get hurt.
People love a car accident, man.
The shock factor and oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. People love a train wreck. They love a car accident.
Yeah.
Everyone rubbernecks when they see a car accident, right?
Yeah, true.
No one drives. Everyone. I don't know. It's hard I can't tell you when it started. I mean, shows like that certainly don't help. You remember the show Scarred?
Yeah, dude. Jacoby, man. Yeah. I actually watched that recently, and it is a garbage TV show.
Yeah, it was.
The wrecks and stuff weren't very good, and just it looked like I basically edited it on my phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them were just phone videos that people sent in.
No, I mean the whole editing of the entire show.
Oh, really? Yeah, I did. I don't remember much of it.
Go on YouTube and try to watch an episode.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I know it seems like I have a lot of time on my hands, but I don't know if I have time for that. So yeah, that's why I'm calling out ESPN. This whole armchair Monday morning quarterback, we're going to shit on athletes. That may work in the NFL and in the NBA, Major League Baseball. It doesn't work with fighting. It just, there's just no, I'm sorry, there's no room for it. There's no room for a Stephen A. Smith when it comes to fighting, in my opinion. And the
dude, what if our theory is correct and Joe Rogan is phoning it in now? And what if once his contract was up, he walked away and they brought in Stephen A. Smith to replace him?
Why even put that energy out there into the universe? Why? You better hope none of the executives at ESPN hear this. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I really thought I
was going to see you cringe harder than you did.
What's that?
I was going for cringe factor on that. I thought you were going to cringe a lot harder than you actually did.
I'm just trying to deny that energy into the universe. So please don't do that. But he is phoning it in. But so would Stephen A. Smith. Do you know Stephen A. Smith fell asleep at the desk during when he was doing He was a boxing analyst for, I don't remember which fight. And it was either Andre Ward or Tim Bradley had to like nudge him with their elbow. Like, hey, dude, we're on air. You're falling asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
And he still gets gigs. He still has a massive gig. That's interesting.
A massive gig and a massive contract.
Uh-huh.
So he's the highest paid person there.
Crazy. So you said you had one more story.
Not a story. I just forgot the candy dots. I do love dots.
Oh, dude. Those aren't like teeth breakers, but you ain't getting them out of your teeth for a while.
It's the best. It's the best. I do love those. And I'm also considered old for liking those. I don't know why.
Now I'm thinking of more of the candies that were in those small boxes, like Milk Duds.
The worst. Garbage.
Those also sticking to your teeth.
Garbage candy.
Nerds.
Garbage candy.
Garbage candy.
What's the other? God, we're talking about enough with the candy. Let's get out of here.
But Gobstoppers. That was in a box.
I don't know what those are.
Kind of like Jawbreakers, but they're all different flavors. They have
Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know.
They're like marbles. Hey, want a bag of marbles? Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Well, you eat them, of course. Let's get out of here.
I have so many thoughts in my head of what we're going to name this show.
Please let me know all of them.
Okay.
It's probably, hey, grown man, take that lollipop out or something.
I was gonna say something about like you're an adult, don't eat lollipops, but I don't know yet.
That's a good one. Anyway,
I put Travis Barker in parentheses.
I think it was a black lollipop too.
What? Ew. Sure was it grape? Like dark purple?
No, it was dark black, like my microphone.
Ew. What is it, like black licorice flavored?
I don't know. Can't be good.
Ugh. Oh, Twizzlers.
Probably like
Twizzlers
Viagra in it or something.
What?
Yeah, it's probably a Viagra.
That's a weird rumor to start.
I'm starting it now. It's fine.
We gotta get out of
Viagra.
here.
That's okay.
We gotta get out of here.
He's trying to fuck a Kardashian.
Oh my God.
It's okay, dude.
And with that, we're out.
Straight for you.